bothers me is Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau has a chance to close out the Boston Celtics in 5 games, give his team at least a couple of days of rest before they got to go into that Pacers series where you have a young Pacer team that's flying high. They just knocked off the Cavaliers in 5 games? A Cavalier team that was unstoppable, as everybody said, and some people thought were going to be up to win an NBA championship this year with Kenny Atkinson and obviously the Spider. But the Spider wasn't 100% healthy, and the team was fighting injury really for the last 2 weeks of the season going into the playoffs. But I look at Tom Thibodeau, and he's made an excuse all season long. And the problem with Tom Thibodeau is really giving his players a relief on the bench, giving them time to rest, giving them and using a rotation that actually fits and gives the Knicks the best chance to win. It's been a big problem all season long. And when you have guys like Cam Payne, who shouldn't be playing, I know he was big in the Detroit series in 1 game, and he made some shots. He forces shots. He really doesn't defend. And you have Jalen Brunson, who fouled out for the first time. I don't remember the last time Jalen Brunson fouled out in a game in the last couple of years. He fouled out in an important game in the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes left. And it just shows you one thing. Are the Knicks ready to take that next step? We've been saying this forever, but I don't know. I don't know what Knick team is going to show up every single night. You're in Madison Square Garden. You're in Celticville over there in Boston. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, the Knicks cannot be consistent. There are games that Mikal Bridges disappears for the first 3 quarters and then shows up in the fourth in the overtime. There are games that OG Anunoby can hit shots and not miss. And then there are games that he can't hit any shots. And then the defensive side of the ball. Why is it that a guy like, and I'm going to say this to be honest, and I'm saying this to be true, Derek White is not a good offensive player. Never was. And really has transitioned into a decent offensive player. This guy is built on defense. That's why he's on this team. That's why the Celtics traded for him. And that's why he got his extension. And that's why he made the Olympic team, because that's what he does defensively. He's a great defender at the perimeter. He is not a three-point shooter. He is not a great offensive player. Why is he scoring 34 points against a Knick team that should absolutely be able to defend him? It doesn't make any sense. And Jaylen Brown, I don't know if anybody knows this story. After Tatum went down, after the game, Jaylen Brown had a closed conversation with all his teammates in the locker room saying that we should be playing better. Tatum or no Tatum, we are one of the best teams in the NBA, and we can win this series. And we got to go out there and play our game. And they did in Game 5. And if they continue doing it in Game 6 and Game 7, the Knicks are going to go down. But I don't know why anybody thinks that this was going to be a shoo-in game. I did not think it. And by the way, there are guys that were coming off the bench, and you know who I'm talking about, the big man, Speedy. And to me, he was the player of the game. Every time they needed a big rebound, every time they needed a big defensive player, this guy was everywhere to be. And he was actually a former Knick. The Knicks didn't hold on to him. No. And then
he looks 50.
Yeah, he could look 50. He could look 60. If he plays that way.
He only played 2 years of college, too, at Duke.
If he plays that way, they're going to have a chance to win this series because the Knicks have no answer to their secondary players. Why is Al Horford, when he gets into the game, actually hitting jump shots that are open? Why is it that the Knicks don't understand what a rotation is? And this defense is more than good enough to knock off this Boston Celtic team. Jaylen Brown's the best player on this roster right now. Porzingis isn't 100%. You have Jason Tatum that's out for the rest of the season and next year. So the Celtics are not the same offensive team they've been all season long. And the Knicks beat them with Jason Tatum. How do you let this team completely dominate you in Game 5 when you should have just absolutely trounced on them? It was embarrassing. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to cry about it. They got a chance to end it in game number 6. If they let this go to a game number 7, the momentum is on the Boston Celtics side. And they get to play it at home. They get to finish the series at home. And that gives them the full momentum. The Knicks do not want this series to go to a game 7. Now, I'll sit here and I'll be honest with you. I don't trust Tom Thibodeau. I don't trust him in a hole in a wall. I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. I think he's always choked. We've seen him go to Eastern Conference Championships against Miami with Derrick Rose. And that team, that great Bulls team, that was the best team in the Eastern Conference that year. And Derrick Rose, if I'm not mistaken, he was the MVP of the league. And you let LeBron James and Miami play the way you did, play the way they did in that series, and completely dominate a team like the Chicago Bulls that was very good and rounded all the way through, from the defensive side of the ball, from the offensive side of the ball. And they just completely dominated because LeBron James decided to take his defensive side of and his prowess to Derrick Rose and made Derrick Rose try to beat him. And Tom Thibodeau had no answer for Derrick Rose. And now you look at Jaylen Brown. I know you look at Jaylen Brown's numbers, they don't really stick out. I know he had a triple-double, but you would have thought that Jaylen Brown would be shooting most of the shots. Jaylen Brown would be scoring 40 points, just like Jason Tatum. But Jaylen Brown does so many things so good. He doesn't need to score 40 points. He can get you assists, he's going to get you rebounds, and he's going to defend multiple positions. And if you can't take Jaylen Brown, it doesn't matter if Derek White scores 34 points on you. If you keep Jaylen Brown down 20 points and keep him out of his confidence and his structure of his game, then the Knicks are going to win this series. Porzingis is a no-show. If you get 15 to 20 minutes for Porzingis, you're lucky. The Celtics know that Porzingis is not 100% healthy. The only reason why he's playing and is playing as many minutes as he has in this series is because now that Jason Tatum's down, and really they know that he is a decoy on the court for the New York Knicks. And I got to give a shout out to one player. Robinson played a sensational game. And I'll say this about Mitch. Mitch actually practiced, like I was saying, on Monday. He needs to figure out his free throw problem. He did. He was 6 for 6 in Game 5. So if he plays like that and he's shooting his free throws, they're not going to play Hack-a-Mitch. But they need this defense, this team. And by the way, Karl Anthony Towns, stop flopping, stop being a bitch, because that's what he is, and stop complaining to the referees and go out there and play your game. You are one of the best players on this team. And if Jalen Brunson is fouling out, and he's not having his best offensive day, you should be the next guy up. Not OG Anunoby, not Mikal Bridges, not Josh Hart. You should. That's why the Knicks brought you here. That's why the Knicks wanted you so bad. And Leon Rose would do anything to make that move to bring you over there from Minnesota to New York. Go look at the other players right now. Randall's playing well. Minnesota's going right now to the Western Conference Finals for back-to-back years. Dante DiVincenzo's playing well. This is the second year in a row the Timberwolves have a chance to go to the finals. And they got a very good chance because the West is really not as good as it's been over the years. So, and there's no surprises here. We expected this. So I don't understand the problem right now, and I don't understand the rotation of the Knicks offensively and defensively. And the Knicks got to figure out, why are they putting in pieces in the game like Campaign and even McBride, who hasn't played well really throughout the playoffs. If McBride and Campaign are not at the top of their game, you got to try other guys. Why isn't Precious playing? Why aren't the bigger guys playing? You have a chance to use your size against a team that's not as big as you, not as strong as you. And you are, when you're at full strength with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns, you're arguably the best offensive rebounding team in the league.